I'm not changing the way I speak. In fact, I want it to get worse.
What's up, guys? It's JQ, back with another video, and today we're going to take a look at an example of how women get away with being very entitled, selfish, and just lacking in self-awareness. This is not an isolated incident, but we're going to look at a more extreme example of someone who just doesn't give an F about what guys think or anybody else in her life, and she just expects you to deal with it. Let's take a look at the video.
I just broke up with my boyfriend, and what's extra fucked up is you didn't even know I had a boyfriend. I was planning on coming on here this week and talking about it and being...
Let me just pause there for a second and just her inflated self-view. The fact that the biggest thing she's concerned about is that she didn't get to tell her Instagram audience about the fact that she had a boyfriend. She's more concerned about that than about the fact that the relationship ended or anything like that. And it just goes to show you how important her ego is and why she might not be a suitable partner.
Like, hey, if you feel like no one is ever going to accept you and love you for who you are, this is your sign that that's not true. And someone will. It's just a matter of time. You have to be patient. And now I need you to tell me that, because to be honest with you, there hasn't been a single man that I've been involved with who hasn't required me to change some core part of myself in order to make a relationship work.
She says that like she's a victim, right? But if she hasn't had any relationships in which the guys didn't have some kind of issue with something fundamental about her, don't you think she should have a little bit more self-inquiry and self-awareness to say, what is it about me that's so problematic that's causing all of these relationships to fail?
And it's really bizarre because I love who I am. I don't want to change. It would be a shame. That's how I see it. I see it as like it would be tragic for me to change who I am, and my friends and my family feel the same way. They don't want me to change. Like, even though there are some negative parts to my personality, like no one...
There's a few negative parts to my personality, but overall I wouldn't want to change. Okay, she really sold this well. Great acting. And you almost start to feel a little sorry, like, gosh, all these people, they want you to change fundamentally who you are. No one should have to fundamentally change who they are. I'm going to show you something in just a minute that is going to shatter this for you, but let's watch a little bit further and then I'll show you the other video.
Has wanted me to change. And then suddenly, like, a man appears in the middle of my life like an alien, confused. Like, they just don't get it. And it really feels like my only two options are to change the core parts of myself that they require me to change, or to never achieve romantic fulfillment and never be in a long-term relationship that works for both of us. And I need you to tell me
that there's a third option, okay? And she says this, she's a young, maybe 25-year-old female, okay? She has lots of options when it comes to men. And basically she's saying there are no men who are okay with me the way that I am. And men will put up with a lot when a girl is 25 like she is. And she doesn't see why this is a problem, right? But in this video, you could almost believe that maybe she's just had bad luck, she's this great person, and just, you know, she just keeps running into bad guys that don't want to accept her. But let's see what she has to say in a different video. All right, here we have a follow-up to her previous video. What did your exes want you to change?
My exes have asked me to change about myself. That's resulted in me breaking up with them. No problem! You wanted someone softer. I'm not a mattress. Go lay on someone else. I'm too fiery and passionate when I speak, and I curse too much. I'm not changing the way I speak. In fact, I want it to get worse. On my vision board, there's a quote that says, I will feel it as deeply and express it as violently as I please. I have no shame. I don't often
Well, guys, doesn't that sound pleasant to be with? She's got a trucker's mouth, she curses a lot, and not only does she not see a problem with that, she wants it to get worse. She wants to swear like a trucker, and she just wants you to be okay with it. Why would you have a problem with that?
Concern myself with situations where I have embarrassed myself or offended someone. Of course, I try my best not to get into these situations, but it does happen, especially with my personality. And considering somebody is always going to misunderstand and someone is always going to think...
Hey guys, with my personality, I'm just going to hurt and embarrass you regularly, and that's just your problem. You got to deal with that. I'm definitely not going to be accountable for it.
That you're cringe. It's not something that keeps me up at night ravaged with guilt and shame and regret. I think the real question is, why do the men that I associate with require me to feel ashamed of myself? I don't know. Maybe you guys have some insight on that. I'm not a
They require you to feel ashamed of yourself. What are you even talking about?
good girl. These men usually want me to be a nice, good Jewish girl
What's
who's
wrong with
quiet
that?
and follows the rules and doesn't rock the boat. Instead, I'm building a platform based on dishonesty and cruelty. Their words, not mine. Because I tell people that they should time thief and say that their internet went out so that they can get a day off.
In other words, these men are looking for a girl that's feminine. Is that so much to ask for? We are masculine. We want women who are feminine. And she's saying, I don't want to do that. And I think the thing she's referring to is that she kind of advocates for people to, lie and make up things so they can get time off work. Now that's a separate issue, but I can understand how men wouldn't want to be associated. This girl is trying to make a career out of social media. She's trying to make it online, right? And that's more important to her than respecting the man she's with. And then she's surprised that these men don't want to be with her. And one of the problems today, and this has become especially bad with social media, is that women that are this age, okay, she looks like she's in her early to mid 20s. When women are this age, they have essentially unlimited options with men. They can get men every second of every day to approach them, want to sleep with them, want to go out with them, etc. And so they develop this distorted sense of reality that they can just have whatever they want. And in this girl's case, because she's lacking in self-awareness, she just figures she can do whatever she wants, says whatever she wants. She can be as embarrassing as she wants. She can swear as much as she wants. Basically, she can do whatever the F she wants. And there should be no consequences applied to her. Nobody should have any standards when it comes to her. Well, the joke's on her because these guys, even though they are probably around her age or maybe slightly older than her, are not putting up with this kind of nonsense. They want a woman who is classy, okay? All the behaviors that she described as being her way of being are not classy behaviors. Men want a classy woman, and this girl, she may look cute, but she's not classy, so she's not going to keep that type of man. Now, for right now, she can kind of get away with this kind of behavior because at her age, right, like I said, she has unlimited options. But the problem happens is that as long as she continues to, reject these men or they continue to break up with her, eventually she's going to be 35, eventually she's going to be 45. And at that point, if a woman is no longer, she's not going to have the youth that she does now, if she continues to exhibit these kind of behaviors and she still hasn't matured into a classy woman, there are going to be dramatically less options available to her. So anyways, guys, for those of you that are younger that watch this channel, you probably know a lot of girls like this, and I encourage you to not give them the time of day or spend much time with them. If you see any of these red flags, girls that swear, girls that don't care if they embarrass you, girls that are only into themselves, just stay away and focus on yourself. I promise you, there are better women out there that actually want to be a good girl. Okay, my girlfriend loves it when I call her a good girl. And they are going to want to be sweet and nurturing towards you. That is what femininity truly is. And you can find it. And you can do that if you show up as the right kind of guy who naturally attracts feminine women. So, guys, if you want to learn how to develop your masculinity in such a way that the right women, the most attractive, most feminine women are naturally drawn to you, that's what my program is all about. For starters, you can join my free newsletter. The link for that is below. I send out free, valuable information every week or two. On top of that, if you'd like to learn more about my coaching program, book a strategy call with me through the link below. We'll see if it's appropriate for you. We'll help you turbocharge this area of your life. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.